Welcome to Group Dates and Hot Takes. I'm Sampy.
I'm Christy.
Let's talk about Married at First Sight. Oh my goodness. Here we are again. Not only have we done a bonus cast bio episode for this season of The Bachelorette. Now, what are we doing here, Christy? Why are we recording another episode of Group Dates and Hot Takes?
I have convinced you to at least watch the first episode of Married at First Sight.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
So we figured we may as well record while we talk about it.
Well, you know, I keep telling you, like, we really need to just build our little podcasting kingdom here. I mean, I am excited to double or even triple the money we've been making doing this podcast.
Where does the triple come from?
I just think that this show is just pretty fantastic and has a lot of faithful listeners.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, people will just eat this up. But yeah, so here we are. And lest anybody get confused, we haven't made a single cent off this podcast. I've actually spent money. I am deeply in the red for this podcast, let me tell you. But that doesn't matter because we love the 3 people who watch so very much. So, Christy, I have no real knowledge of this podcast. Not podcast, but this show. This show, besides I've heard of it, but I've never actually seen an episode. So I will follow your lead as far as talking about things and just see where things lead, because this is a little bit of a trip for me.
Yes, it's a very strange show.
All right. Well, if you had to explain it in 2 more words than the title.
I mean, yeah, the title is basically self-explanatory. These, quote, experts have made them fill out a whole bunch of questionnaires, and then they match people based on who they think would work best. At least that is the facade the show puts on. I personally think they are matched for the maximum drama.
So, I have no experience with this show, but after watching 1 episode, I would have to agree with you.
Yeah, especially the last few seasons, there have been like 1, maybe 2 marriages out of the 5.
Okay, so that is one thing that I was going to ask you, because this is something that we've talked about before in the context of the Bachelor franchise, the Bachelor Nation. But how... let me phrase it this way. Is the success rate any better?
It's not much better. I'm looking it up real quick, but in this show, it used to be just 3 couples, and then they expanded to 4, and now 5. I think they increased the numbers just to try and increase, like, the success rate. I mean, the internet is saying 33 out of the couples, which is 61%, chose to stay married on decision day. But decision day is 8 weeks after getting married. Yeah, and then a bunch, it says out of that, more than half have since divorced. So it says as of May 2022, only 14 couples remain married, which is an overall success rate of 26%.
Well, that's
a little higher than The Bachelor.
Higher than The Bachelor.
I mean, you could make the argument that 26% is a miracle considering the crazy experience it is. So,
yeah,
I don't know. Depends on how you look at it.
I guess I would maybe say, in my opinion, which counts for nothing except for on this show, But in my opinion, I'm kind of thinking at this point that a lot of stuff happens because they think it might create drama. And I won't bring any specific examples up now, but I have no prior experience with this show. But you'd have one part of the couple, and they like, oh, I could never stand this. And then it just immediately cuts away to the other person in the couple just explaining how for them this is a pillar of their identity and vital to their very survival and well-being.
Yeah. I mean, they've matched people in the past. Like, one person loves cats, the other is supposedly allergic. One person loves to travel, the other is pinching pennies and doesn't want to travel outside the state. So that's why I think it's just for maximum drama.
Well, we'll get to that, but yeah, we have a penny pincher here.
Yeah, they always get matched with a traveler, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we'll take this one episode at a time.
Yeah.
I don't want to make any promises of any kind. I was going to say, you know what? This will probably be shorter than our Bachelor episodes. I don't want to say that because I'm probably just going to end up sticking my foot right into it if I say that. If I say that, this episode's going to be 2 hours. And nobody wants that. I don't want that.
No, I don't need to go 2 hours.
Don't want that. No. So we just thought that this would be a little more just informal.
Yeah.
We really try to do our research for Bachelor Nation. We know that this scientific angle is very important. Not so much over here. We're just winging it. So
yeah, we are in San Diego this season.
Is that something that they typically do where they pick a specific
city?
Yes,
last season was Boston.
Okay, and so these people are all from San Diego?
Yes.
Okay.
In theory, at least. So
interesting.
Which should make it easier rather than pulling people from all over the country and trying to make it work. But
I mean, so this is on Lifetime?
Mm-hmm.
Do they have smaller budgets on Lifetime? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
ABC is just a major network, so I feel like you end up seeing that some with The Bachelor, where they, well, at least pre and now post-COVID, they were pretty extravagant. I mean, even during COVID, they flew Clayton and his 700 women he was in love with to Iceland. So. Oh,
yes. The only travel that Lifetime pays for is the honeymoons.
Okay. Interesting. Good to know. Yes, I am, this is my life being a newbie at reality love shows. Where would you like to begin?
Well, I guess we could kind of go in the order they had it on the show. So our first couple was Lindy and Miguel. Lindy was the one who said she was an overthinker. She was raised Seventh-day Adventist.
Mm-hmm.
She's also a physical therapist. She wants kids.
Yeah, I don't... Here I am just being mean again. I don't know. I feel like she is perhaps a little too much for him.
Yeah, they seem very different to me because he is like fully immersed in like video games and costumes, comic books, Dungeons and Dragons.
Well, yes. I mean, I don't know. I guess my initial assessment was it seems like she could potentially run over him quite a bit because I think that just based on one single episode and the moments that she was there, it seemed to me like she is a classic overcompensator. I mean, we all know people like that. Probably. I know I do. I know Christy does. I know probably all of our friends do. Just, you have a person who was raised in a more restrictive environment.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, she even talked about this briefly, where she was like, yeah, they don't like dancing and all this, so I didn't dance growing up. You know, I got into college and had a one-night stand, and I was like, oh, but what's the church gonna think? And then, oh, screw the church. And so I guess it'll be interesting to see how things progress with her, but it definitely seems to me like she's kind of overcompensating for that in how she behaves.
Yeah, we saw that later with the bachelorette party, I think.
Whereas Miguel seems like he's much more, I don't know if low-key is necessarily the right word, but just like a softer person. You know, like he's dressing up to play Dungeons and Dragons. He's writing poetry. I mean, he's in an active life and like works out and does all these things, but definitely seemed like there could be some major tension there going forward, because those personality types do seem very different.
Yeah, definitely opposites.
Mm-hmm. I was going to ask, is there anything that stood out to you with them throughout that? Because I'm assuming we're just going to talk about a couple and then talk about the next couple rather than interspersing, unless we think of something obvious.
At least for the first part, yeah. I mean, not really. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't make it.
Likewise. I'm going to have to see some major adjustments.
Yeah, mostly on her part, probably.
Yeah, there was even some tension, a little womanly tension between Alexis and Lindy.
Yeah, at least from Alexis's end.
Right.
She did not.
I don't know if Lindy was aware or not.
Unclear.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I have on them for now.
Yeah, we'll have to see how things go with them, because I think that they're gonna have to really flex a lot in order to make this work. I mean, you had him reading his poetry, or I guess reciting is a better word, reciting his poetry to the guys at the beach.
That was strange. I didn't like that.
You just don't appreciate the finer things in life.
I just don't like poetry, especially when people like recite it on TV. It's very uncomfortable.
Wow. How dare you? How dare you diss the arts like that? No, I think there's definitely going to be a lot of butting of heads.
Yep.
I will say, I guess, I don't know, at some level, this was sort of, Justin and Alexis's episode in a way. I mean, we had obviously the introductions for everybody, but it seemed like that was where it headed a bit more. Did you before? So we only saw his suit in the previews for the next episode. We didn't actually get to see him try on suits, I don't believe.
But they were the ones who actually got married this episode, right?
No.
Alexis and Justin?
No, Alexis and Justin are. I apologize. I confused you by mentioning them and then going back to the couple we were originally.
Oh. Yes, we only saw a couple wedding dresses and tuxes, I think. I don't think we didn't see.
We saw Nate's tux. We saw
I think it's just Nate and Justin, right?
Yes.
I think we'll see the rest of them getting dresses and tuxes next week.
Do we see Morgan's dress?
I think we just saw Stacia and Alexis's dresses.
Well, when we get to that, I obviously want your opinion on those things. But which couple did you want to move to?
I guess Alexis and Justin.
Okay. So I just want to say, and this is also a question to you as well, but they seemed actually interested in getting married, like during the ceremony. Is that something that happens regularly, or
like them seeming to like each other?
Right.
Yeah, usually. I'd say on this show, most of the times, like, you watch the weddings and you're like, wow, all these people are really gonna make it. and then immediately they cut to a preview of the rest of the season and there's like fighting and you're like, oh, okay, well, real life will set in pretty quick. But usually the weddings are happy.
Okay, because I this was the first Married at First Sight wedding that I'd seen, and so I will admit to being a bit surprised that overall it seemed like more of a joyous occasion than I expected it to be.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the happier ones. I mean, it also helps when the two people are like joking, and there definitely been more stiff ones.
Okay.
But they seemed pretty happy.
I just want to also say that in my opinion, Justin kind of looks like someone took the head of like a 7-year-old and pasted it onto a giant of a man's body.
I mean, he is 6'8". He is very tall. But it was interesting that, like, he talked about being previously engaged to a woman who wanted basically a rich husband. Which is like, wouldn't you have talked about that before you got engaged? But okay. That's very weird.
I mean, in my opinion, yes, that's probably something you should talk about. I suspect from what he said, it was more of like an expectation. Like, it turned out in the end that what she wanted was basically just somebody to throw money at her versus actually wanting to be more in a equal partnership, because that's what he said. He said something to the effect of she wanted someone who is older, like 45, 50, but like not actually old.
But like, the monetary aspect,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Someone who's further along money-wise.
Someone who can just buy purses and houses galore, I guess. Which is... it's just a bit of a bummer to think about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, jeez.
That's rough.
Mm-hmm. Though that was 5 years ago, I guess, so he's really been working on himself since then. Though we can't let this couple go by without talking about the 3 Alexis proposals.
That is one of the wildest things I've heard on this show. 3 times.
And she said no to all of them.
Although it does seem she was fairly young, right? Because she did say one of them was like high school and then like couple in college.
Right. So she's
29.
29, yeah. He's 33, even if he does not look...
He looks 23.
I was joking with you because when you go through their little character introductions with the montages of their baby pictures and all of this stuff, and they of course have to tell all of their friends or their loved ones 2 weeks before that they've actually been selected to get married. And so her thing was playing flag football with some guys, and so she's sitting at a picnic table with these three guy friends of hers. And so I was like, wait, was it these guys? Was it these three that proposed to her? But I mean, I don't think so. Hopefully not. That would be a little awkward. But yeah, she's pretty high energy.
Yes, she has a dog that is spoiled also.
Mm-hmm. He has a dog too. They're both dog people.
Yes, which also came up during their ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I thought it was interesting. He said he's been celibate for 18 months. Should be an interesting wedding night for them. Or honeymoon.
I mean, we'll see. She, like you kind of said, tone perhaps changes after the ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see if they venture into the realm of physicality. Does that usually happen?
It varies. Some couples actually lie about it to the producers. Like, they'll be like, oh no, we haven't done it yet, and then like after the season they're like, yeah, we actually did it on the honeymoon night or whatever. So it's very hard to trust what these people say after the fact. And some of them do come out and say, yeah, we did it last night during the honeymoon. I would say most don't actually do it on the wedding night.
Okay. How long of a honeymoon do they get?
It's like a week.
Okay. I mean, honestly, I would have a very hard time having sex with someone the same day that I met them.
Yeah. That's why a lot don't, I think, because it's weird.
Whether I was married to them for a reality TV show or not, it would perhaps be a bit difficult for me. Oh, man.
Well, our next couple is Kristin and Mitch, and Mitch is 41.
Wait, before we go to Mitch, here I'm making up. If you listen to our cast bio episode, you notice I just dragged Evan out of nowhere for a name. I'm over here calling him Mitch Mitt now, just slightly better. Man, Alexis lost it when her mom came in the room.
Oh, yeah, before the ceremony. Mm-hmm. I think it probably just hit her. Like, I'm getting married on a reality show to a guy I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Just would not.
A lot of crying.
A lot of wailing, really, is maybe more appropriate.
Yeah, it was intense.
Is there anything that stood out to you about this couple? I don't want to get ahead of ourselves if we want to talk about the actual group events after we talk about the couples or not, but
I think what stood out was her decision to plan a lavish wedding, which took basically her entire life savings, only to find out that her fiance had a mistress. She found this out 2 weeks before the wedding, which is absolutely brutal.
Just a little bit.
And so her and her friend went on the whole like destination trip anyway because the money was already spent. So that was interesting. Also, the fact that she has not told her dad she's getting married and she plans to tell him on the wedding day.
I'm going to be honest with you. That is a terrible decision.
Like, why would you do that? She just told him, just to show up wearing something nice. Why would you do that to your dad?
I would be upset at a child of mine if that was...
Just why? What? How does that benefit anyone?
I don't know. I will say, talking about Mitch. Mitch is our old man of the cast at 41. I anticipate some tension.
Oh, for sure.
Here.
I don't think they're gonna make it. Just based on the first episode.
Two couples already. Christy is strongly thinking.
He talked about he's got a loud mouth and an inappropriate sense of humor.
Which I think probably the even bigger issue is going to be his inability to compromise. And obviously we're making snap judgments here, but if you don't know, he works for an environmental nonprofit because he loves surfing and saw there was trash in the ocean, I guess, is how he explained his conversion, his seeing the light. And he is very much on board with essentially being a cheapskate, but for the right reasons.
And I don't think Kristin is. She doesn't seem like the type that would want to do that.
No, absolutely not. I mean, even he was talking about, I just don't like buying unnecessary things. And was it his brother or one of his friends was talking to him? He's like, you wouldn't go out on the town. He's like, that would be wasteful.
Yeah, I think a lot of disagreements.
This is gonna go so well, especially the fact that apparently he has not been one for long-term relationships. So I think he's 41, and I think he was saying his longest relationship has been 3 years.
Yeah, 2 or 3 years.
Which, as a 41-year-old, that's a bit of a red flag for me, to be honest.
Well, it's a red flag for Kristin as well. Because they showed later on, like when they were cutting back and forth between the couples.
Right, she's talking about not wanting an older guy.
Yes, and she's like worried about a guy who's like, what if he's like 39, 40 and he hasn't settled down yet? Which is exactly who she has been paired with.
Right, and this is what we were talking about earlier with just, it seems like perhaps at this stage it's more creating matches for drama than anything else. Because that's gonna, I mean, because really, the producers, they have these so-called experts, right? I don't see them really having much incentive to make these people last. Like, I'm sure they have no shortage of people.
Yeah, I think the producers probably have a big say in who gets matched as well. So
probably, I guess I'm just saying that at the end of the day, I don't think the experts, like, they don't have much skin in the game, right? Like, who cares? Really?
No, they're still employed.
Right, they're still employed, but also, like, I don't know, they don't make money on the fact that their matches are accurate.
No.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, this is definitely, I see this as a problem area, this couple. Totally.
For sure.
Being totally honest with you. Totally honest with you. Who do you want to talk about next?
Morgan and Ben.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't remember how to pronounce it, but
weird haircut.
Yeah.
Seems nice. I mean, this is going to be a problem area as well.
Yeah, this could be, if he can learn to like spend a little bit of money, they could work. Because here we have another cheap guy who thinks an ice cream cone is a lavish expense.
Right. Yes. He specifically, he was saying he would get his wife. He would pay for Ben and Jerry's for her, but only a single scoop and with no cone. And look, I don't know, I was gonna say on paper, but I don't know if that, like, he seems like a good guy. Like, he's an electrical engineer, right? Which doesn't seem like it's super satisfying to him, but he does. Wasn't he the one talking about how he worked with, like, did volunteer work?
Yeah, he does that on the side. It's his fulfilling thing.
Right. So, I mean, that's a pretty normal thing, yeah. I feel like. But also, it is understandable, his cheapness. I mean, as someone whose parents essentially escaped from Vietnam in 1975 and met each other in a refugee camp, like, that sort of stuff really sticks with you. And so I'm sure that's how his parents lived. I'm sure that's how they had to live for a very, very long time. So that's understandable. It's just something that he's going to have to flex on. I mean, that's really, it's totally on him. Like, it's not.
He doesn't use AC or heat in his house.
No, he just opens the window.
I mean, I guess San Diego does have good weather, but still.
Right, you get a nice breeze. What are some other things, like the kind of idiosyncrasies because of that? I mean, he's kind of I don't know if he's actually extreme couponer, but he seems to do a lot of couponing.
Yeah. I didn't like the fact that he said he compares every girl to his mother, though. That's a little weird, like, when you're dating.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, he was saying, right, that he puts everything into stocks and crypto.
Oh, has that been? I didn't remember which guy that was.
I believe that was in the same conversation where he was talking about the Ben and Jerry's.
Oh.
Yeah. So again, I mean, he seems perfectly fine. I don't know how you felt about Morgan.
I mean, she seems normal, I guess. She's a nurse.
Morgan. Is it Morgan who's Japanese?
Yes.
I feel like that'll be an interesting thing because she wants to travel. He said he likes to travel, but has to do it insanely cheaply. Which is, it's just one of those things too, because I'm sure he's doing pretty well for himself.
Seems like it.
Like, I mean, obviously, who knows ultimately, but electrical engineer, that's a pretty
good job.
Like, that's a pretty high level job. I mean, I don't know what his seniority is or anything, but that's something, I mean, it's a pretty intense education and all of that. So I'm sure he's not hurting for money, but yeah, I think he's going to have to break out of that mentality a bit, because I think if you don't come from that experience that he did, there's just, I think it would be very difficult to get on board with that, because to someone who doesn't have that experience, it just makes zero sense. Just like, you know, if you were to grow up just completely abject poverty, you know, somewhere, and I'm not saying he did, like, but his parents at least had a very difficult time, I'm sure, you know, coming into this foreign country and learning how, like, trying to build a life from absolutely nothing. Like that sort of thing, that's in some ways traumatic, but that sticks with you. And it's not something that I don't think somebody can just easily be like, oh yeah, I totally get and am fine with you living that life with me as your wife.
Yeah, he's gonna have to make some adjustments for sure.
Yeah.
I hope he changes his mind about buying socks as an anniversary gift
Lord
as well.
Mercy.
I hope that was just a joke.
I wouldn't put it past him for it to not be a joke. Again, he seems like a decent guy, so I hope that they can figure out how to reconcile. Like, I'm pretty sure she specifically said she didn't want somebody who's super cheap.
Oh, I think she did.
Like in that conversation, so they had all of the guys together and all of the girls together, and of course the guys were at the beach playing volleyball because that's what guys, you have to have guys do, and then all the women were having brunch because that's just how men and women work. But anyways, for several of the couples, if not all of them, you had a moment where one of the pairs said something that was specifically like that they didn't like or wouldn't be able to tolerate or would be a deal breaker that their other half was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Morgan said it would be a deal breaker if her husband wanted to save money instead of traveling,
right?
Which is exactly what Ben is currently doing.
What he wishes to do for the rest of his life: save money instead of traveling. There were other. I mean, there was the whole Kristin and old, like,
yeah,
all of this.
So our last couple is it Stasia or Stacia?
Stasia, I believe.
Stasia and Nate.
So Nate is the only person in the cast that I genuinely think could be a bad person. Like,
I don't know, I didn't dislike him.
Like, I think I'm gonna be annoyed by Lindy. But I don't know. Look, and these are snap judgments, but just based on how he was acting, particularly at the bachelor party.
Oh, I forgot about the bachelor party. That wasn't great.
You can't forget about the bachelor party. And I don't know if you want to. I mean, I guess this is the last couple, so it doesn't really matter. We can talk about those after this, anyways. But yeah, essentially, and I was surprised by this. So they usually bring in strippers for the bachelor party.
They've done different variations of it, but yes, that's not unusual to see, especially in these later seasons.
That is so counter to anything I would want to be part of.
Yes, but that's also, people do that in real life though, so it's not an unusual thing to see at a bachelor or bachelorette party.
I feel like, and this is backed up with zero scientific evidence whatsoever, but I feel like that is perhaps less common than it used to be. But I don't know. I see that and I'm like, there is no way that I would have any interest whatsoever to be part of that before I was getting married.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
What are you thinking? Oh, I'm about to just go marry the love of my life. Let me go see some naked women. What? Yeah. What are you doing? What are you thinking?
He was way too into it too. He was like,
right, and that's why I'm
like, he was like, oh, dance for me or whatever it was, and then at one point, like,
he's spraying whipped cream all over her
in her mouth. Yeah,
he was like telling her to get on her knees. Like, it was just really uncomfortable,
very inappropriate.
I think the rest of the guys were be made uncomfortable by that. At least,
yeah, he was right next to them doing it.
Yeah, they were like in a line of the guys, and the other guys are like,
Yes, that was ridiculous.
Yeah, that's what probably the biggest thing. I mean, Justin was very uncomfortable, it looked like. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing, look, this is just, it is what it is, what I'm about to say. I don't want to be too mean, but when I hear that someone is a successful day trader, what I think is, oh, so your gambling is going all right so far.
Oh, you don't think it's an actual, like, day trading job?
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that day trading is one of those things where is so incredibly volatile that, as far as I'm aware, and I'm like, I don't want to cast into dispersions or anything, but the same types of people, generally speaking, who end up being addicted to gambling would be a similar type of person who would want to be a day trader, because it's so much snap trying to find that unicorn of a thing that you can make that money as things are flip-flopping back and forth on a daily basis. I mean, it's very much sort of adrenaline junkie gambling type thing. And now that's not to say that you can't be successful at it, and maybe he is just one of the small few that just can consistently do that. But it just, to me, is sort of fit into the rest of everything, where it's like he's just like, blah, blah, blah. I mean, he even did that when he put on his wedding suit. He was like, oh, like in the mirror, like, check me out, I'm hot stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, which is fine, whatever. It's just all these kind of pieces.
He's a very confident guy.
I mean, good for him. It just...
Well, so is Stasia?
Sure.
She has apparently built an empire, boss lady, like...
I really hope that's not an MLM.
No, it seemed like she said she had actual investment properties and she works in the finance world. So I think
there are probably finance and real estate MLMs by now. No, I think it is an actual thing. But
I think it seems like she has enough money because her mom talked about wanting her to get a post-nup.
Right.
So she's apparently done well for herself.
Yeah, I'm still skeptical about Nate, and perhaps always will be. We shall see if he can redeem himself in my eyes. I know that that's very important to him, that he gets on my good side. So generally speaking, any nugs from the episode that you wanted to talk about?
The only other thing was like just the wedding dresses. Wasn't a huge fan of either one. When Alexis went dress shopping, her first dress looked like it was made out of doilies. Which I did not.
Very true.
Like, why? The final pick was, it didn't look like it fit super well in the bust area. Plus, like, there was a slit that went up super high that just looked like it would be uncomfortable to wear.
That's the modern day. You gotta have the slit.
I suppose. I think Stasia looked pretty normal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's
Oh, the other thing. This show has now done this blatant James Allen sponsorship for the ring. So last season, they'd had this segment where Steve bought an engagement ring for Noi. And we didn't really realize, at least I didn't realize at first, it was a sponsorship because I just thought he was just buying a ring. But then it tended to linger super long on the website and we clearly saw the name. And this time it was like super blatant, where multiple guys are buying a James Allen ring. And look, you can...
Right, and they're getting coached through the process by one of their friends who knows so much about the company and the process. And even, like, I believe it was named, it's like, I'm ready for step 3.
I know. It's like, who says that?
No, it was very obviously coached through and everything. Look, I may be a bit of a conspiracy theorist here, but I feel like perhaps, and I'm gonna screw my search results for the rest of time.
Oh no,
here.
Don't look it up. You've already bought the rings you need to buy.
It's too late. I've already clicked on the website.
This is exactly what they want.
Look, they aren't getting any money from me. The rings were way too expensive. But so what I'm saying, or what I was trying to say, is I think that they had their own, like, demo website. That's how far the advertisement went. Because, like, you couldn't see any prices on anything. Like, they blurred out the actual URL and stuff like that.
Oh, that's weird.
Because if you actually go, and maybe it was just cleverly hidden, but, like, when you go on the website and click a ring, like, it gives you the price.
Yeah, that's...
If you scroll through, it gives you the price. So it wouldn't surprise me at all, like, that... if it was set up to that extent. Because it was very, very... I mean, it was essentially Truman Show level of advertisement.
Yes, you really could not miss it.
It was so
and we got it twice
blatant.
with two different guys.
I hope they got their money's worth. There you go, James Allen. I went to your freaking website. Hope you're happy. Yeah.
I'm a little interested to see if Alexis comes around to Justin's looks, because she did say he wasn't her type.
No.
He, on the other hand, is enamored with her.
Oh, he is all for it.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, you'd like to think that if you married someone, you would be.
Yeah, but can't guarantee anything with these matches.
No, you can't. Look, I don't know these people, so I can't really say. But I like to think that based on what we saw of Alexis so far, that she could come around.
Yeah, she didn't seem to, like, outright hate how he looked like we've seen in previous seasons.
No, and obviously the wedding happened at the very end, so we haven't really gotten a chance to see what happened afterwards. But so far, she hasn't dragged him to his face about it.
No.
And she does, from at first blush, seems like she's self-aware and not serious enough that she could give him a chance.
Yeah, I don't think they're doomed.
Wow, finally a couple Christy thinks aren't doomed. How wonderful.
I think Morgan and Min could potentially work too.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I mean,
we'll see.
He has some work to do. A little bit of work. Yeah, so those are our super amazing, awesome thoughts about the first episode of, is this season 15, 16, 17, 18?
15, I think.
Wow. Season 15, Episode 1, Goodbye Life.
Can't wait to see the rest of the weddings. Those are always some of my favorite episodes of the season.
They better have some good dresses or else I'm going to freak out. You don't believe me?
No.
Wow. Unbelievable. Well, again, I will make no promises. This could be our only Married at First Sight episode. Who knows? Am I seething quietly inside about having to watch it? I'm not going to reveal anything. But maybe we'll see you next time for another Married at First Sight episode.